We'll call the select board meeting for November 24th to order. Michael Jones, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
John today. I'll second it. Thanks, John. Police report.
Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the minutes for February or November 10th?
Make a motion to approve the minutes for November 10th, 2025.
Second,
Any discussion?
yes, please.
Go ahead, Barry.
I believe under present, you're missing Helen Steele. On page 2, second paragraph, next to last line, it doesn't make sense. Asked if they be making a donation or would they be thrown as Dent? I don't understand that.
Is that under recreation and activity center maintenance? Is that where?
The very bottom sentence on.
It should read, and if they would be throwing, I would assume shot puts, is that correct?
Making dents in the wall as they did last year.
They were throwing out, track and field events have things they throw.
That had done some damage to the wall last year, and that was addressed for this year.
Okay, so we should add those 2 words in the wall. The next paragraph down, last sign, there should be a comma before if. The next one down, talking about winter blend, it says 2.75 per gallon. I think there should be a dollar sign there. Page 3, in the first paragraph, we got pet basin, both with capitals. I think they should be small letters. And on page 4, down under select board comments, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down, it says our Combs will think on it should be put in there and get back to the board. That's all I have.
On page 3 on the manager's report,
You want this one?
1, 2, 3, 4th line down. M. Brown asked if there were a 3-foot frost wall, and M. Jones was going to check, but he thought they only put in a 3-foot frost wall. I think it was M. Brown asked if there was a 4-foot frost wall.
Correct.
You are correct.
And that's all I had.
Anything else?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Citizens' comments. We're going to start off by saying that citizens' comments will be limited to 10 minutes. And if there's multiple people that want to speak on an issue, please pick one person and we'll listen to what they have to say and then move on from there. So that would be, is that Mary Droege with her hand up?
Dick, can I step back for a second on the approval of minutes? I just caught it.
Okay.
I know we voted, but under citizens' comments, I believe Lori Kamuta made comments during the citizens' comment period last week,
She did.
and it says none.
Oh, I think Bob McIntyre come up and he's talked about this throwing.
Yep, and that's right. Bob did as well.
I have to check and see, was that done during citizens' comments or was that done during the rec report? I think that was done during the rec report, actually. Like, pretty confident there were no citizens' comments last meeting.
Okay, perfect.
I think both those, discussions occurred during the rec department report.
Okay.
Okay, Mary, you're up.
Thank you very much. My name is Mary Droege. I live in Castleton. I'm speaking as a private citizen today. However, my opinions are informed by over 4 years of working on supporting and promoting the recreation program here in Castleton, including 3 years on the Rec Commission and 2 years on the Friends of Rec Committee. As you all know well, the Rec Commission has been directed by the Select Board to write a 1 and 5 year plan for recreation and to come up with a broad vision for recreation in Castleton. Now, I'll be the first to admit we've had some fits and starts, but we're ready to launch what we feel is a really terrific comprehensive survey of the townspeople about what they would like to see in our town recreation programming. I can pass this out. I hope everyone will fill it out. I don't know if that's 5 copies or not, but fill it out. So we're ready to launch this survey. And we're gonna tonight at the turkey trot at Christmas in Castleton, and we're really excited for the results. But personally, I'm also a little concerned that honestly, some of the recent proposed policies, I'm not even sure if they're fully voted on yet, might get in the way, it might limit some of the programming for recreation that this survey will show that the citizens want in this town. And I guess I'm specifically concerned about the mandatory $50 cleaning fee for even a 1 hour use of a room, even if it's less spotless, is going to price out small 1 hour programs that are very community oriented and aren't ever going to draw a ton of people, such as our clubs, a game night, a board game night. These are things that aren't going to be able to cover a total $95 fee with $50 non-refundable. I also think what I've heard proposed is a lack of coordinated advertising that will lead to confusion in the town about what is available in recreation. I don't know if these are proposed or if these are finalized yet, but the big picture I am concerned about is that the Rec Commission, we're finally getting our act together to do this great planning effort, and we have this survey coming out, and people are going to get excited. They're going to say, we're excited about this. We're willing to volunteer here. And I feel like we're putting the cart before the horse in terms of letting the commission come up with a plan and a vision. So that's the main thing I wanted to say tonight. With all due respect, we understand finances are tight, but let the planning process play out is what I'm appealing to you for tonight. Before policies are adopted that close off options. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you, Mary. We'll definitely think about what you're having to say there because you raised a couple of good points. And I like the survey. Make sure that a copy of that winds up in my mailbox, please.
Well, it should be in all our mailboxes, Dick. Not just
Well, she
yours.
just handed it out, so.
Did I hand out enough?
This is there. This is it right here. This is the.
You gotta do the QR code.
All right.
We're not doing any paper copies.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Not everybody knows how to do that.
I know, well, we're gonna be at a lot of events and we can help people do that.
So you're going to provide training, Mary?
How to use your. We're gonna do a program at the rec center on how to use QR codes.
That may come
Is
to
that
that. All right. Anything else for citizens' comments before we move on?
Is that QR code going to be posted online
Yes.
under?
Everywhere we can put it.
So I know where to look for it.
We'll put it on the, town webpage for the rec and also on their Facebook page.
That would be fantastic, thank you.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Did I see Mary McIntyre's hand up?
It is, but Lori Kamuta also, so she's gonna go first. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to mention, last week when I was speaking, when you were writing up, what I was trying to make for a point, it said she expressed concern about programming being treated as rentals. Lori feels the volunteers have already done so much, that collecting registrations and managing the clinic, under the pickleball clinic we had last Saturday, should be done by the rec director, not by the group that wants to host the clinic program. I guess it's just the word clinic in a way. I just wanted people to realize this is a big point. The clinic was run for free by myself and the leaders of pickleball. So those people volunteered a lot of time. I just want to recognize them. They're the ones that really led the clinic and volunteered their time, which is just what they do. They volunteer their time. And when we talk about this rental agreement, it would mean them registering. That would mean them, if you were going with that pattern, that model, and registering, collecting fees, thinking about liability. And I just felt that was too much added to somebody who's already setting up the place and cleaning up after and volunteering. These are the core of our volunteers. Every single event that's been held, Cash Bash, all night, all those things, the pickleball clinic, it's all pickleball volunteers. And they are the heart of really the rec right now, keeping this going. And I think we should, now there's the talk of raising the fee, which someone else may be talking about, but to $10 a session. And for people playing twice a week, that's going up from a local person quite a bit, from $15 a month. And that's quite a bit if you're going to play twice a week, going up from that. So I think we should think about people that, and give things some time too. Like Mary was saying, there's some programs we want to start. They're not going to start out with 15 people saying, I want to do this. It might be 2 people, but give it some chance to let people get familiar with what we're offering and let it grow before we do things that are going to discourage people who want to have a program. That's what worries me the most, is people coming and saying, I want to do this, but then it's not feasible because it's too expensive. So that's all I wanted to say.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank
can I address the question or the statements?
Yeah, briefly, Mike. It goes along with what you and I discussed this afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So I met with Micah today, and we discussed a lot of the feedback that's coming back from the public, and there's a lot more research we're going to do. Nothing's been implemented. There's been no changes made at this point. It was just discussions. So Micah and I spoke, and he's going to do some research on what other communities do, how they run things, cost-wise, management-wise, that kind of stuff. We're also looking at a new rec-centric scheduling process instead of HeyGov, something that's maybe a little more user-friendly, both to the public-facing part and behind-the-scenes stuff. To build out things in HeyGov is like it's tedious. It's not very user-friendly. It's a program that we purchased to get online registrations and taxes and stuff like that people could pay, and it's proven over the last 3 years that it's not user-friendly. So it had its place, but I think this place is worn out, and we're looking at other options, but nothing's been done yet, just to clarify. And we're going to do our research, and Micah will sit back down with those folks in the community that engage with them and have those discussions with them at that time.
Perfect.
Mary, go ahead. Try to be quick, please.
Sure. So I'm glad to hear that this isn't happening, because Lori and I were both told December 1st this took place. So therefore we had a bit of urgency, because we were very concerned, because the proposed fees did go to $10 for residents per time they play pickleball, and 15 per time for out of town people to play. And that can add up if you play twice a week, $120 an hour. And, that's a lot. And I just wanted to stress one of the other, things that was mentioned to Lori and I, which Lori quickly corrected, was that there is a cross-reference going on currently from the fees being collected through HAGO to playtime scheduler by a town administrator. And I do not believe that's happening. I am doing that. I have access. Mike gave me access when our first rec director left. So I've been watching to make sure that people pay. Playtime scheduler, people sign up to play their session throughout the week. Castleton has a little blue teal circle in this app, and we can see every player. And once a week on Sunday at 5 o'clock, I post our playtimes, and people sign up. And I have a list of who's paid their monthly fees, and I check through Playtime Scheduler. You can send a private message. So if I see that John Smith had signed up to play, but they haven't paid their fees, I just send them a private message and say, hey, John, don't forget you haven't paid your fees. If you could do that, please, that would be great. And it works. By that morning of or afternoon, if they're gonna play, I reached to one of our volunteer leads. This is all volunteer run. Pickleball pays for their own balls. We just replace the nets. Other than using the lights and the facility itself, these people here, they run it, they make it happen. And my husband and I. So we do appreciate the town collecting the fees, obviously, using HAGO. And I have communicated with Christina from time to time if somebody forgot to sign a check or something like that, and we have worked together. But pretty much this is all volunteer run. So we all recognize that this fee should have gone up, but given the last rec director, he was working on it and it just never happened. We're all willing to pay. We made a recommendation of what we thought was reasonable. Unfortunately, that was discarded. We think we're very reasonable people. We're very volunteer oriented. Lori's already touched on that, so I won't repeat it. But we just want to be worked with, and this is a program that I brought to rec. So pretty disheartened that, we were told that this was going to happen, and kind of that was it. So that's why we're all here tonight in support of that program. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. We're gonna figure this out. I know Micah and Mike are working on it right now. Anything else for citizens' comments before we move on? Okay, Chief Mantello, you're up.
Good evening, board. Hey, Chief.
Good evening, Chief.
All right. A copy of my October report. Yes. Okay, so let's kind of go through the calls of service. As you see, the total that we had for October was 869, just, up 19 from 850 in September. I kind of highlighted some of the services, why it went up a little bit. We had a little more, we had 25 citizen assists, did some more directed patrols, mental health increased to 5 more, if we had 48 in October. Property watches increased, but we're getting more increased people heading down south, so that's gonna increase more throughout the winter. Suspicious person circumstances, that covered a variety of things. I didn't go through all the cases on those, but we went up by 7 on those. Down on traffic stops. What else we got here? And yeah, that's it. Any questions on those service calls? Okay, move on to arrests. We had 11 arrests, I think. Let's see, no, 12 in October. Nothing really stands out. They're kind of all sporadic, change, We did have an attempted burglary, assault on a police officer. That was during one of our mental health, situations. Anything on those questions? Okay, traffic violations. We're down 30. We did 116 traffic violations versus 146 in September. We did move you saw that we did move the one of the solar miles per hour signs down on Main Street. You see where it was?
I noticed it was missing when I came tonight.
It's actually down on the east end between between Amtrak and the bridge. You'll see it right on if you're heading out, it'll be on the left. Going in, you'll see it right away. It'll blink right off. Because people come off the interstate, they'll see that thing light up.
Chief, when they come through town, I also notice all the street signs are missing.
Yep, we lost every sign in Main Street with the exception of Mill Street. We heard through the rumor mill that Justin and I were talking about it today, actually, that there was supposedly a party that in order to get in, you have to have a traffic sign. No, I can't verify that. Well, this is a yearly thing. This is unusual that all of them are missing at once. I talked with Jeff. I don't know how better way we can mount them. Do we think it's happening before 12? Probably not. I don't know.
They're snapping them off. They're just bending them over, and that's how. It's not that they're unscrewing it.
No.
So
They're just bending them off and snapping them.
Anti-seize compound on top of them.
I just soon electrify the signs. That's illegal. Can't do that. We do have to come up with something, but I did talk with Jeff a little bit about that.
Mike, would you touch on how much each sign is to replace?
Depending on the size of it, $40 to $60.
Plus labor.
Plus the labor. If they damage the bracket, then we got to replace the bracket, so that adds to it as well.
Do you know how many signs were stolen? 10, 15, 20?
No.
7?
Yeah, 5 to 7.
Okay.
Probably can't.
They did actually took Barker's Hill down too.
Probably can't do dorm searches or frat house searches either, huh?
Well, there's no frat house, but yeah, you need warrants for that kind of stuff.
Is there any ring?
I did let the director know about that, so they'll have access to more. I think it's off campus personally. I don't think it's the
Anybody's security camera or ring camera pick it up?
No. The only one I probably could check, the best camera system on Main Street is third place.
Yeah. Probably might be worth checking. Might get something.
Yep.
What about a reward?
A reward?
A reward.
It's on the agenda.
Setting up a $200 reward or something.
It's on the agenda. We're going to be talking about it.
Yeah. Okay, where are we here? So calls at university, we include obviously the off-campus housing. We know that our students, we just had 9 early. I mean, outside of the signs, I didn't say outside, just carelessly say that. It's been good. Back up, you can see that we went up a little bit more. We have 4 in Fairhaven, 1 in Hubbardton, 2 in Ira, 1 in Fulton.
Are those for state police back up?
The ones in Ira and Hubbardton, yes. I think Fulton was the sheriff's. Sheriff. Yeah. I think. And then we for people that provided for us, as you can see what those were. 6. Mental health calls, I know there's a huge paragraph on that. We've talked it pretty much ad nauseum with that stuff. Has it changed? I think this month you're gonna find probably a little lower, at least at this point. For next month, I think you're gonna see that drop a little bit. Or may not, maybe it'll still be double digits. We talked about the one in October and Columbus Day, that was the big one that took a lot of time. One of the things that we're seeing more people down. Do we feel the park and rides, you know, Crystal Beach? I drove by that today. Are we gonna keep that shut down?
Crystal Beach,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be open right now
For
for the winter.
For the winter? Okay.
The board wanted to keep it open for the winter because of access for fishing derbies and
Okay.
access to the lake. So it's not, during the winter, it's not gonna be.
People are driving in there and staying.
Yeah, I mean, that's a spot. People will go in there. I mean, it's pretty dark in there. So, I mean, it's just something that we had talked about, I think a couple of years ago, or I'd recommended that it. But I understand the fishing thing, whether we designate certain times to be open and shut it. Certain nights. You know, because most people are gonna be. A lot of people ice fish on the Green Dump side, not that they don't go in from that side. Over the years, it just seems like we're not seeing ice fishermen there. We're seeing people shoot geese, because we've got calls from that, which is totally legal.
Totally legal or illegal?
No, totally legal.
But on Crystal Beach?
Yep. Yeah.
It's not too close to the residents that are there?
No, you're not pointing at them, you're pointing to the lake, but that's what, I talked to the warden about that actually now. That's been known for years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should hire people to come in at one point and get them out.
Is it an option, Mr. Town Manager, to lock that until we do get ice? Would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I do, it just gives us, if we can prevent some percentage of people going in there when they don't need, other than, I mean, right now, what would they go in there for? Walk the dogs and crap and not pick it up?
People want to watch the sunset and the sunrise in there.
They can park their.
But when they're outside of hour, I mean, we posted hours and no trespassing out, you know, they have to be within those hours of being in there. Somebody tore down half the signs. We put new cameras in or additional cameras in. They boarded up the building so to reduce the chances that they can get in and do the thefts like they did last year.
Are those cameras working now?
Mm-hmm. And Martha and myself, well, I have remote access, and Martha's got to get set up yet so that it'll be set up on her phones. It's on my phone, but she doesn't have it yet.
Against locking that until the ice forms on the lake?
I'm not.
No, I would think that would make good sense.
I actually turned around in there the other day and was questioning why. I mean, I know that it was open for ice fishing and I support that obviously, but I was questioning why we hadn't had it locked.
Well, we found the gates open, the other north side open, and the generators were all unlocked, and so I locked them all back up, and it just creates an atmosphere for people to do vandalism and do damage, and it's probably the lowest percentage imaginable that do the damage, but once they do it, they ruin it for everybody else, and we've got to lock things up and have cameras. It costs us money to have cameras installed. To try to help, at least if someone does the damage, we maybe can go back and look at cameras and get a license plate number or something.
I mean, I think if somebody wanted to go in there, they could go under the chain if it was locked right now. I don't see where that would be an issue, especially since we don't have, with no snow and banks and stuff along the side of the road. There's as much parking on the side of the road as there is during the summertime.
So let's just lock it. Let's just lock it.
Yeah, until there's fishable ice.
That's right.
Done.
Is that okay with you, Chief?
Absolutely.
Yeah, do that. And then, Rob, you just let us know when you think the ice is sufficient for fishing and we'll unlock it.
Okay.
So, any questions on the report? Just got a few things I want to go over, but, any questions you guys want to ask about anything else about that? Nope.
Can Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I talked to Chief about the mental health stuff. I'm on that drum, beating that drum right now. One individual in this town had 86 or 7 involvements with it since the beginning of January. That person is not here right now. But I was talking with Justin one night, we were late night chatting. When people don't see our police officers on the street patrolling, it's because of things like what's going on with these repeat offenders on the mental health issues that are going on. Because it doesn't matter if it's day or night, it happens. And, you know, with assaults and people pulling tasers on our officers and all these things, it takes a lot of time to report. If they have to try to get warrants, if their, you know, cases have to be submitted, and they just don't spend as much time out on the road. So that kind of stuff detracts away from the public safety aspect of them being on the road. So I've heard the complaints that people are complaining because they're not out there, but you can just imagine hours and hours of caseload to get to the state's attorney's office and witnesses, statements, everything it takes. So it just detracts away from the time they can spend on the street.
Right, you had 48 mental health emergencies, and you probably spend 8 hours, 10 hours on each one?
No, it depends, anywhere from 2 to 6. It depends if you've got to get a warrant.
Including paperwork.
Yeah. I mean, some of the 2-hour ones we can get them to go voluntarily.
But you're still talking about hundreds of hours last month.
Multiply it, you know. So you got a minimum of 48, so even if you do 6 hours, so that's roughly almost 300 hours right there.
Plus, I mean, you have to transport them to the emergency room.
Yeah.
Right, that's a full-time officer for 3 weeks out of the month.
It just needs to be grown.
It's not gonna be, you know, listen, I don't want to be the doom and gloomer, but you know, it's just the way where society is today. It's lack of the whole mental health field is they're understaffed. They keep rotating, they're burning them out. We don't have any long-term residential programs in Vermont. So either if they're really bad, they send them to New Hampshire. But then you have some judges won't designate. Well, let me give you an example. So just because you have a mental health warrant to have somebody committed, if they don't open up their door, you just can't break into it. You have to get a search warrant to get in there to execute the mental health warrant. So that's where the time takes if you have to go that route. Luckily, I had one of them, you know, last month where father was there and I was able to get in. We didn't have to get a search warrant, and he went with me. But that could have got ugly real quick. But
Quickly, Pete, what do you have to do to get a search warrant? Just quickly.
well, you got to have an affidavit of probable cause, meaning that you got to have enough evidence to indicate whether it's you witnessing it or somebody really close witnessing it, or where they're in danger to themselves or to somebody else. So you put that on an affidavit. You contact the state's attorney. They have to view it and say, make sure they look at your affidavit, that it's legitimate. You got all the elements in there, and then they send it back to us. This is all done through email, and then we contact the judge, who then we do the same thing. They electronically sign it, and then they send it back to us. And that could go, depending on the situation, that could be 2-3 hours just doing that right there.
But it's gotta be during business hours. You can't do it at midnight.
No, you can do it at night. You just wake somebody up. There's people on call. Yeah.
Okay.
May take a little bit longer, but not much. They're pretty good about answering their phone.
Okay.
They're kind of used to it.
But at this point, you don't have any solutions. There's nothing that we can work on to improve this
The only thing that
as a community.
that we're doing is that I contacted a case manager, who I have that person on my phone, and they kind of keep me without violating HIPAA. What I want to do, you know, okay, so one of the things is that, you know, when these people get out of the program, they're not mandated to take medication. So they may get off it the first week and not take it. So then that cycle starts all over again. So I recommend to a few of them. One of them I take, I told you, I take every month on a Thursday to get their medication. It's a shot and it lasts a month. And I recommended to her, to these other people, that they would do that. If they could do that, that we would arrange some kind of transportation again, do that, because that right there, it's worth it. Say driving into Rutland, getting that done and bringing them back. Because it saves it on my officers, it saves it. I mean, that's what we can do, other than not change the whole system. The whole state knows it. The whole state's going through it. It's not just us.
Okay.
So that's what we can do. That's what we're trying to do here.
We appreciate your efforts, Chief. Approximately, I know I'm asking for a hip shot here, but what's the percentage of man hours do you and your staff spend on mental health? Is it 10%, 20%?
Well, I haven't broke it down, but we just kind of figured out that out of the 48 calls we did last month, if you average anywhere 4 to 6 hours, multiply, that's almost 300 hours. So,
That's over the course of, with 4 full-time staff for the course of a month?
That's almost 7, that's like 7 weeks. Okay.
Okay, so that's probably 15 to 20% of your time. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just wanted to see if we could put a slight, I mean, realize that's just an educated guess, but at least it's a reasonably good estimate.
I could definitely create that and just kind of really break it
Well,
down.
I'm not asking you to put any effort into it. I just was trying to come up with a hip shot here, just to give everyone a sense of what it's costing us, or what it's doing to you and your staff, and what kind of effort you have to put into it. Okay, we can move on. That was the only point I was trying to make.
So the other thing I want to bring up on a positive note, we got a lot of things coming up. We got the turkey trot this week. We got my 2 officers going to work that day to do that. I don't know how many people I haven't talked with Andrew, how many he sent some emails on. He didn't think there was many as registered, but I'm not 100% sure. We always anticipate that a lot of people will show up because I think that's going to grow. And then we have the Christmas celebration. What day is that on? Mike? Is it the 6th? December 6th. So that's another big event that the community really enjoys, and a lot of people come out. So we'll look forward to that. So there's positive things. There's good things. It will be a doom and gloom, but there's a lot of good things in this community that's going on. Unfortunately, a lot of I think that part of the misconception is that people, like what Mike said, they may say, well, we're not seeing you. Because I have people call me all the time. Oh, can you patrol here? I say, we'll get there. I can't promise you that I'll have somebody there, but we'll work at it. So if we're not there, we're on something else. Even with 2 officers, if you got something else, you're taking 2 officers. That's what it takes to deal with it. Sometimes 3 if you're working on good things. So, Roy.
2 things. Number 1, I don't know who's complaining. I see you out there on the roads all the time, every single day. You surprise me. Secondly, can you? I haven't had any information on that shooting. Bob,
it's still in investigation. I'm not sure. I'm glad you brought that up, because I forgot we did spend some time on that one. So we had an incident last month where 2 people got in a fight at the park and ride real quick. One kid beats another kid. One POI, person of interest, steps out of a truck, fires 2 rounds, car takes off. The guy runs through the park and ride through the field. He goes to a house, an off-campus house. He ends up going back on campus. I had the next day, I had a canine come down from game warden, looked for the shells. I had a metal detector coming from state police. They came down from part of the crime scene investigation. Didn't find anything, any shells, and we scoured it. Took the witnesses in that supposedly saw the weapon and heard it. So I'm still in the process of interviewing a couple people. All I can tell you.
you keep us posted.
Yep. Yep. Think that's it?
You're gonna say some of the traffic ordinance,
What the?
traffic ordinance?
Oh, yeah, so I'll have that done on Friday. I just didn't get it done today. I looked at it, I got another one and I'm just kind of editing it. I want it to be more, because there's some language in it that I gotta change. And I'm missing 2 roads. I talked to Jeff about it that are on there. It's close, real close. I don't want to get something not 100% clean.
You said January, so if you have a draft by.
Well, I want the draft so that it gives it time for you all look at it and ask me questions about it, and also for our legal, make sure it meets the criteria.
So we're still on track with that, Chief. That's excellent. Thank you.
And then in reference to the other ordinance, the ATV, I haven't started on that. I just got all my resources. I just got to go through it, and I think that'll be a little quicker, but there's still a lot to go in on that one.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
the COPS grant that was processed, approved, all the right players are commissions. In that draft budget, we started adding those costs associated with that. So at some point, I think Chief is gonna be ready to talk about that before the grant cycle or before the budget cycle is done, so you can bring you up to speed on everything that's that would require to bring on that additional officer.
Okay, excellent. Chief, don't sit down and we'll talk about the reward for the theft of street signs. You want us to kick this off, Mike, or do you want the chief to kick it off?
Sure, I'll kick it off. I did talk to the chief about it. That if there was an award out there, like $200, what I recommended, that leads to the arrest and conviction of those who've done it, has to be convicted. I'm not sure if it'll be a deterrent or not. It's just something to kick around. But at least they know someone's watching. Maybe, I don't know. It's just it happens every year. It just seemed like all at once, all but one in the village is missing. So
Between labor and materials, it costs the town easily over $100 a sign, right?
oh, easily.
So, yeah, that's the thing, is what would you put on for a reward? Because is it gonna be cost effective for us? Because let's say,
You get a bunch of reports of people saying, "I know who's got me." I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you gotta vet though. It's the same thing we had the reward out for, the homicide, we added the conviction piece in it. So, I don't know, Mike, what were you thinking, how much?
$200. I doubt it's going to come to anything, but if we did find those people that did it and we send that message out there that, that it's theft, it's not to be tolerated, and we're going to pursue it. I mean, what I hate to do is have you find out, arrest someone, and then we don't have the wherewithal to follow through on it and actually say, "Yep, no, you're going to get convicted of unlawful mischief," or whatever it is.
So this is how this would work. Let me just give you how the process works. Let's say somebody comes to you or me or somebody and says, "Hey, I know who's got the signs." First, we got to vet that person out. Why are you doing this? How do you know? Are you an eyewitness? It's got to be enough evidence for us to go to approach them. And let's say it's inside a building, but then we got to get a search warrant. We got to know exactly where they are. So it sounds easy, but it's not. But I'm not saying I don't agree with it. We should try it, but it's not going to just happen in a day. Or even if somebody comes up, you got to vet them. It's no different if you get an informant. You still have to vet them and see, what are you doing it for? How do you know? How do we know you're telling the truth?
Yeah, posting a reward is not going to magically stop all the sign thefts.
No.
We have to be graduating by the time this all gets the resolution to it all.
I had a fish that somebody had carved on the top of my sign out front. Somebody stole it one night. It showed back up leaning against the sign 4 years later. You can't tell me where that didn't go,
Well, it's just like the Lions Club emblem down there. Stolen. And they had put a sticker up there. Or they had that nice one.
Yeah.
Hey, can you see the question in the audience?
And the
No.
sun will be electrified. Just getting shot.
Put a solar panel on top, maybe.
Electric fence.
There's been so many ways over the years, people, if they grease them, they try to put, thicker metal. You just have to make it harder for them to get, instead of just going up and bending it back and forth. Because those signs, when you know how it is, you start bending it, it's gonna just snap off.
We put concertina wire on it, and somebody gets hurt, they'll sue us for the cuts on their arms or something.
Sadly, it's probably just the cost of being in business, as they say, and it's aggravating, but there really isn't a cost-effective way to combat it.
Do they have to climb the pole to get at the sign?
Or stand on somebody's shoulders or be
Rather than being smooth and easy to climb, if the poles have spikes in them
You know what?
where they tear their clothing.
Don't disagree with you, but it's a liability thing, something.
Yeah, if we purposely did something to hurt someone, that wouldn't stand the litigation, so.
We could spend $5,000 a year trying to save $500 worth of signs. It's aggravating,
But if we can come up with a way just to make it more difficult outside of putting a camera on top of it, but then that's expensive, make it more difficult preventing them from doing it, because it's obviously they've got a system down where they're doing it pretty quick.
Well, we're here to discuss whether or not we want to put a reward out there. So what's the board's pleasure on that? Do we want to do that, or do we think it's more effort than it's worth?
I think it's more effort than it's worth. You pay $200 and you get one sign back, and then you still, no, I don't think it's worth it.
What's the rest of the board think?
I don't think we can sit here and do nothing, because that's not the answer either.
I would think maybe if we put an ad out that we were looking for anybody that had security camera footage on Main Street.
Okay, let's start.
At least it might make people think before they went out to do it again.
Yeah.
I think public knowledge that there's a reward out there would at minimum act as a minor deterrent, and it may prevent one sign from getting stolen, and it actually will cost us basically nothing to offer a reward, right? And if we get a conviction, then we have to pay the $200, and it'd be money well spent. But the odds of getting a conviction are pretty slim, but it might act as a deterrent. So I see no harm in it.
I think you put it out for 30 days. You get a $200 reward, and you put it out for 30 days. Let it run its course. We'll put it on every social media we can and see what it comes up. The worst case scenarios, nobody comes up. We still do our job, give it a try.
What's the board's pleasure here?
I'll make a motion that we follow Chief Mantello's recommendation and do a $200 reward advertised for 30 days for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons that stole the town street signs.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We have a course of action. Okay, anything else on that before we move on?
I'll start the draft on that for the reward.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
Okay, we have a request from Friends Up North to talk about the moving charges for the weed harvester. Mike, do you want to kick this off also?
Actually, I think there's an individual that authored the letters here. And
Okay.
I'd rather have him speak in his own language or his own words.
Good evening. My name is Paul Taylor. I live on Dutchman Point.
Can I interrupt for just 1 minute, please?
Of course.
Mr. Town Manager, can we just get background? Is this something that we've been doing for a number of years?
Before I got here, so we were doing it before 2018.
We move it both ways, and then we would bill the town of Hubbardton.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I'm one of the co-chairs of Friends Up North, along with my wife Jennifer and two of our neighbors. We're new to the group. This was our first year running it. We did our best to make sure that our resources fit the expenses that we thought we would incur. This was an extraordinary year for us. And Rob knows a little bit about it. We had a delay in getting our permit to start the weed harvesting. We didn't start until the third week of July. By that time, things were out of control. And ultimately, we ended up changing from the green harvester that we had been using to an orange harvester that Doug Casella graciously allowed us to use. It was a beautiful thing. We're going to continue to use the orange harvester and not the green harvester. But the expenses that are involved in operating the orange harvester are, I won't say considerably more, but they are more. And so this year, we get some money from the town of Hubbardton. We got some money from the state, but the vast majority of the money that we use to pay the expenses is all raised by donations. Most of the folks that donate, there's 36 people that donated last year. We raised about $17,000. The vast majority of those people live in the town of Hubbardton. We service 14 properties in the town of Castleton. And of those 14 properties, 5 people contributed to the fund donation program. We're grateful for the help that we got from both the town of Hubbardton and from Castleton. Every time I talk to either Mike or Jeff or Evan at the road crew, they were very responsive. And believe me, we don't in any way question the amount of this bill. It's very reasonable. It's more than reasonable. However, we ran over our budget this year pretty extraordinarily. And I just wanted the board here to understand 2 things. One, we didn't know that this was a pass. We thought this was something that would be paid by the town of Hubbardton. When they got the bill, and apparently that's the way it's always been done. Castleton would send it to Hubbardton, Hubbardton would pay it, and then they would charge it back against fund. We didn't know that. That's the way it's been done. So our request is pretty simple. It's really a hybrid request. Either if we can somehow, it would be nice if we could eliminate this bill altogether, but if we could diminish it, that would be helpful too. And I guess the converse or the hybrid part of it is, if we could get the town of Castleton to provide some small amount of support for our group, it would be appreciated. Like I said, we serve 14, there's 14 parcels on our part of the lake that are in Castleton. And we provide the service for them as well as for the folks in Hubbardton. I don't know that we've ever, I mean, we're new to this is our first year. I don't know that anybody has ever asked the town of Castleton to contribute anything to the effort. But it obviously serves some of your residents and others that come up to fish or whatever. Without us harvesting, their use of that part of the lake is severely limited, if not prohibited. So the hybrid request is either to eliminate this, diminish it, or somehow find it in your hearts to give us money going forward just to assist the ongoing expense, which is going to be more this year. It'll be more in the coming years than it has been, only because we now have to have 2 operators on the orange machine, whereas before in the green machine we had just 1. And even though it's more expensive, it is by far more effective. We are harvesting more weeds, I think, than they ever have in the past, and we'll continue to do it as long as we can afford to do it. So that's our request. I don't know what the right procedure was, and I apologize for the handwritten note. They told me at the last minute that I should write something up, so I did. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Well, the question I have is this expense is not budgeted for, correct, Mike?
Correct. We don't budget, to the best of my knowledge, the town does not give money to the LBA either for weed harvesting. I'm correct. Nothing I've ever seen. So, and I talked to an employee who lives on the north side of the bridge and said, do you contribute to it? And they elected not to because they don't believe the harvesting is a good method to do this. So that's why they don't donate. And I only talked to one person.
I think many years ago, the town of Castleton did put some money towards weed control.
The town of Castleton owned the harvesters originally, and I'm not sure how it was funded through the town of Castleton, but it was Castleton employees that ran them at the time. And they decided they were done with it and sold the harvester to Hubbardton for $1.
Yeah, I think that the voters in Castleton decided they didn't want to contribute to that. So it would be, in my opinion, that, I understand the situation that you're in, but it's our responsibility to make sure that that bill's paid. I guess if you were looking for participation from Castleton, you could, if you got 5% of the voters of Castleton, you could tag it on the back of the budget as an add-on. That would be the correct way, and then everyone in the community would vote on whether or not they wanted to participate. I wouldn't predict what that outcome is. I have a feeling I know what it would be.
So do I.
Okay.
Mr.
Have
Chair,
you? Oh, go ahead, Dick.
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh,
I was
somebody-
gonna ask if I could ask a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Turner.
So does the state park contribute anything, and does the state support it in any way? I think you said a little bit, but should they be asked to do more?
I'm
The
happy to
state
ask
owns
you.
the lake, right?
I'm sorry?
The state park wouldn't contribute because this is for only above the float bridge.
Okay. What about the state in general? They own the lake, right?
There's grant money available through, it would be the DEC Aquatic Nuisance Control Grant and Aid. The Polteny Meadowy Natural Resource Conservation District would have grant money available.
Mhm.
The town of Hubbardton would need to apply because it needs to be a municipality to get with Polteny. The Lake Champlain Basin Program has grants available for all this, so there is funds available.
Have those been pursued, or?
But in defense of the agenda, in defense of the agenda, they're here to discuss whether or not Castleton wants to forgive the charge for moving the weed harvester. That's the issue that we're discussing.
Thank you, Mark. So what's the board's pleasure on this? I have my opinion, which I reserve till I hear the rest of the board.
I would make a motion that we deny the request to eliminate or alter the bill for our town crew going to move Hubbardton's or the Friends of the North weed harvester.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion from the board?
I just had a quick question. How do we start moving the equipment? Why isn't Hubbardton moving the equipment?
They don't have the right equipment.
They don't have the right equipment to move it, but we do.
Yes.
Bob, we started with Bob Ward. He was the one that really, when I started here, he was the one that they called, he did it. And one day I saw an invoice, stuck out, and I'm like, what is this about? And it's about what the town crew brought our equipment up there. They moved it, unloaded it, uploaded it, and transported it. And we just billed Hubbardton directly.
And not to sound unsympathetic to your cause, but it's for us to speak on behalf of the taxpayers of Castleton and say, yeah, we're going to pay our crew and use our equipment and assume the related liability to do that. I think it would fall out of our good faith here.
It is also to the benefit of only 14 landowners.
Mr. Chairman, Roy Newton has his hand up.
Okay, I didn't hear Mary Lee's comment. Mary Lee, can you repeat that, please?
I said that would be only doing 14 Castleton landowners. So I'm not sure that other landowners would feel they should be paying for just 14.
Okay. Roy, you have a question?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. In lieu of the fact that all Castleton residents use the lake in one form or another throughout the year, it's my opinion that anything that is done in that lake to take care of the weed problem is a plus for the entire lake, whether it be the north end where Hubbardton is, where the weed now comes downstream and grows to other parts of the lake. We have just had a Supreme Court ruling where it has been denied to have chemicals thrown in that lake, which is a huge plus for the lake and for the people of this area. So my feeling is that whatever we do and whatever, with cost being reasonable, that we do everything we can to keep that lake weed-free without chemicals, and that every spot that where the weeds are taken care of helps the entire lake. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your input, Roy. Any more discussion? We have a motion before the board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna say nay.
Opposed?
Opposed, I'm nay.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Okay, we're gonna move on. Notice of conveyance for town property. Mike, do you wanna lead this off?
Sure. So this request to the select board, this is me talking to, both attorney Mike Tarrant and attorney Merrill Bent, regarding the Sand Hill 18.2 acres that is under a purchase and sales agreement with, Hale Resources. It's been in court. It's now back. There was a, appeal to the Supreme Court that got filed for their findings. And so I talked to the attorneys about this, and I'm like, why didn't we do this like years ago, like 2 years ago, a year ago? Because if the law, the statutes, 24 V.S.A. 1061, conveyance of real property, that to sell the property, the board has to list it for the conveyance. That's the statute. Once it's listed, within 30 days, so anybody that wants to go get a petition of 5% of the legal voters could petition the select board or the town. It would go on the town ballot for town meeting day or a special town meeting to stop the sale of the property. So no matter how this plays out, in the end, if a petition is taken out and the town says no, or the majority of the voters say no, that's done. The property cannot be sold. So now that there's been a lot of money spent on both with the interested parties on Sand Hill and the town and the developer, this question I have was like, why do we not do this? So
When Mike, okay, I'll jump in now, Mike. When Mike brought this up to me, it made sense to me to put this out there now so that if the voters do want to petition, they have time to do that, and we would still have time to include it in the town warning for town meeting day, when this decision would be made by approximately 50% of the voters versus a small amount of voters that would turn out for a special meeting. So I thought it was into the town's advantage to pursue this now, and if there is a petition and the voters want it on the ballot, then it would be on the town meeting ballot. That's why I agreed with Mike that we should pursue this now. So any thoughts from the board on this?
Well, my thought would be that since this was discussed several years ago at Warren town meetings, that the procedures that took place up to this point would have met that threshold.
Not actually, Mark. We have to actually publicly announce and post that we want to convey this property, that we intend to convey this property. And so that's what we're going to do, is start that process. So that 30-day window for anybody to circulate a petition to request a vote, that clock can start ticking. We never actually did that.
Okay, I just thought that since the transaction had been warned on the town meetings and the notes were recorded in public, that would have sufficed. But if it doesn't, we should do it now.
Yeah, there's very specific guidelines on how we have to post this and make it public. So what this is in front of this board now is to start that process.
So, Mr. Chairman, so with that said, if the board chooses tonight to go ahead and list the property for the conveyance, it has to go in the papers. And the two town papers that the select board chose back in March was the Rutland Herald and the Lakes Region Free Press, or Lakeside News, I'm sorry. And the online version was, I think, the Lakes Region Free Press. But the 30 days wouldn't start until the last post. So if we put it in Roy's paper and it doesn't make the Wednesday edition, then the 30 days wouldn't start ticking until it got published in his paper the following week. Does that make sense, what I said?
I would make a motion that we direct the town manager to follow Title 24.
We'll get to you. Just go ahead and finish your motion. You second. Nick, I don't know if you can see the people in the audience. They got questions.
Okay, well, we'll make the motion and get it seconded if there is a second, and then we'll have more discussion.
Sorry, Mark, to cut you off.
Sure. I would make a motion that the select board directs the town manager to follow Title 24 and post the conveyance of real estate as listed on the handout he gave us.
I'll second it for discussion.
It's a whole page, so I'm not going to read the whole.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
It's moved and seconded that we authorize the town manager to convey the property or announce the conveyance of the property parcel number 0911000011 on Sand Hill Road. All right, I'm going to open this up for discussion from the board first. Is there any discussion from the board? Okay, the audience? Please approach the podium.
They're working on it, Nick. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see him.
He's on his phone.
Oh, he can't see him. Okay.
No, I'm not on my phone. I have a video.
Oh, okay.
I just can't always see the hands in the back there. That's a wide angle lens, so.
I'm going to zoom in on you, Katie.
Oh, great. Okay.
Katie, I'm going to tell you now, we're not here to discuss the pros or cons of the project. We're only here to discuss whether or not we're going to post the conveyance of sale. Okay?
Okay, respectfully accepted. So I, Katie Colpo, I live on Sand Hill Road, and I guess before you vote on whether to convey the property at this time and announce the sale, which is fine, but the purchase and sale agreement, the purchaser's obligation, so this is in the purchase and sale agreement. So for you, the select board, to sell it, right? I would think we convey the property when we're ready to sell it, meaning the purchaser has met their obligations. And according to the purchase and sale agreement, the purchaser's obligation to close on this agreement shall be contingent upon the satisfaction by the purchaser in the sole discretion of the following. 1, procurement of local permits, zoning changes, zoning variances, and that's what's going back to the Supreme Court. Just the local zoning. B, procurement of all state of Vermont permits, included but not limited to land use permits, potable water. That would include Act 250. There's a long way to go before the conveyance of this property. C, issuance of all licenses, whether local, state, or federal in nature, to construct and operation. And that's been a big issue of what is this building going to be. If I go to this purchase and sale agreement and due diligence, it says nursing care / memory care. And that's
Katie, I'm going to cut you off right there, because what we're doing is we're not going to close we're not closing the contract. We're only informing the public that we intend to convey the property if and when the contract is met.
Okay, so that's my question is, does the select board want to convey a property when there's so much more that the purchaser needs to do? And number 2, I guess our concern as a group is we requested a current copy of the purchase and sale agreement and all addendums, because when we called last Friday, when we were meeting with our lawyer right before the meeting, I said, well, let me call Mike. I stopped by, but I forgot to follow up because she wants a copy of the current purchase and sale agreement with current addendums to this point.
You'll have it tomorrow. I got the 4th one. I got the copy of the 4th one today because I had sent it out, and there was a merged copy. I signed it and I sent it out, and Hale signed it, John and Zach, and there was 2 separate pages. So I ended up having to re-sign, so that tomorrow you'll have
I
addendum,
appreciate that.
all addendums.
I appreciate that. I just wanted the select board to be very clear with the conveyance or the agreement to post it, that you're saying we, the select board, want to sell this piece of property to Hale and Hale. That's also been in the newspapers recently for not great dealings, and I have copies of those too if you want them, that father is suing son, but you as the select board are saying, hey, we want to sell this property to Hale and Hale that hasn't been able to get permits, and there's controversy about exactly what's going to happen. My recommendation would just be a little bit further in the process, see how do you really want to sell this piece of property to Hale and Hale? That's all I'm going to say.
We're just notifying the community of what's happened so far to meet this requirement. Nothing else is changing.
And this is our attorney has looked into the Hale thing and found that the town has no exposure to this. And that there's no closing dates, there's no conditions met, it's just the conveyance of the property. And we looked at it and said, if the interested parties on Sand Hill Road want to take out the petition, at least it gives them the time to get it on the ballot and not have to go to a special meeting, which costs more money for one. And two, we usually have low voter turnout. So if the intent was to get the community involved with it, the only way that they can do that is vote. And this would allow for greater numbers, because usually special elections just have low voter turnout.
Our intent is to get this ball rolling and get the public involved, and then if and when there is a petition submitted to the town, we'll still have ample time to get it warned and on the ballot for the March town meeting. That's our intent.
We were in support of that too, yeah.
Did I hear you say it was going back to the Supreme Court?
Correct.
There's more questions in the audience that.
I'll defer to you and then I'll.
I can't see who's out there, so please come to the podium.
Roy.
Right News and Lakeside News. If you decide to do this, you have until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to get it to my office and to be in the paper on Wednesday.
Okay, good to know.
I can just.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak to the issue of the intent to convey the property, not on the merits of Sand Hill Road, the Sand Hill Road project?
Coming to the podium.
A little slow, but I'm coming. Hi, my name is John Joe, and I live on Sand Hill Road, and I just have some questions. One is really basic. You've been trying to explain it to me as you've been responding to Katie. Conveyance means you're just informing the public that you wish to sell the land to, in this case, Zach.
Correct.
Okay, now you've informed the public that that's what you wish to do. And let's just suppose there is no petition. So 30 days pass. Then what is it you think you're going to do, or what is it you intend to do? I mean, it's now.
Once all the conditions of the contract are met, we will sell the property. But we
see.
cannot do that until all the conditions are met, which is what Katie was mentioning.
I see. Good. Okay. So then one of my questions is, do you know, is it appropriate to ask what the price will be? I mean, is that something public?
It's in the.
Yes, it's been public. It's been public for what, 7 years, Mike? Is that right?
Excuse me. I meant I'm going to put it in the notice to people that it's going to be in the notice.
It's in the.
Good. And then will the proposed contract be in the minutes of this meeting?
The purchase and sales agreement?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I don't think that it needs to be in the minutes of the meeting. It is available at the town office to anyone who wishes to ask for a copy. That is available.
Okay, just help me out now. But if you're going to notify people that you intend to sell the property, then might we not say, well, here are the conditions under which we will sell it, and here is the price we are asking for and intend to get. Just a more amplified notification than you maybe intended.
The public notice shouldn't be a copy of the contract, John. I don't think. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. You checked with the attorneys on this?
Yes.
And what was their input?
I didn't ask that question specifically, but I asked about putting the deed information in the conveyance, and as long as the town conveys it, then basically our attorney said, well, it's up to the people to go. If they want to look at the deeds, they can go look at the deed. I'm assuming the same would be for the purchase and sales agreement. If someone really truly wants it, I mean, I could put it on the website. There's no issue. It's not secret. But the conditions are listed in the purchase sales agreement.
I just don't feel that we need to pay the papers to publish the whole contract.
No, I'm satisfied if you put the purchase and sale agreement in the minutes of this meeting.
We'll put a link to them in there. We can do that, no problem.
Okay, that would be probably good enough, so that if somebody.
Okay.
See the.
That's achievable, right, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And one more, this is kind of a comment, but what we've gone to the Supreme Court for this time is we found the decision of the Environmental Court in Bennington unsatisfactory. One possible result of our appeal is that the Supreme Court could say, you guys have a point. We're going to remand this, send this back to the DRB. That's according to our lawyer, that's one of the things the Supreme Court could do. And then if it goes back to the DRB, its standing position is that they can't have memory care. And I suppose the DRB could change its mind, but assuming that it does not, then Hal or Dusevitz is going to say, well, then we can't go forward. Is that going to screw anything up? If you put in a conveyance, this is what we intend to do if they meet all their obligations. And then the Supreme Court says, well, it's got to go back. I guess what will then happen is there won't be any deal. You guys won't have the deal. You won't go forward with it. They'll bow out and the land will come back to sale.
If the contract conditions aren't met, then the deal won't go through, but we still will have done our due diligence and given you, the public, a chance to opine on this. That's what we're trying to do right now, is give you the opportunity to present your opinion.
Right, got it. And that's really good. The only other thing on my list here, guys, is I don't know if you received a copy of the decision of the environmental board from Bennington, the one we've just appealed. But in that, the Dusevitz group says that they own the land. Does that bother you or your lawyers?
I mean, we can prove that they don't own it. So if it was a mistake in wording, then
Okay.
I don't see that doesn't give them the legal right to own the land.
No. Okay.
Right, we're just a seller. We're not a party in any of their other.
Okay, well, just so you know, that seems to be a little bit of a conflict. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Maybe it's a mistake they made and the court will just say it's a mistake. But
The only thing
it still wouldn't prevent us from giving you the opportunity to present your opinion. That is what we're trying to accomplish here. And that's all we're trying to accomplish.
Okay, and you're selling the land to Zach Hale for his company, Hale Resources. And, well, all right, I guess that's something else. I'm done. That's something I've never understood either. Maybe I'll ask you this question. What is the relationship between Helen Hale and Dusevitz?
I don't talk to the developer. I only talk to an attorney. So, I mean, I talked to Zach Hale, but I've never engaged with the developer to find out what their relationship is and stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't think that this board and the town manager are qualified to opine on that question.
Well, nobody seems to have an answer, but I appreciate answering my questions. So thank you, guys. Good.
Thanks, Joe.
Point of clarity, procedural. So if you're going to convey it, and then it's 30 days if we have the signatures, which I understand. So what would 5% of our population be?
It's 5%, but it's like 100. It's like 125 or so voter signatures.
There's 5% of the registered voters.
I think there's like 25.
What's that number then? What's our target?
I'd have to ask Nedrick, but I think it's around 2,500 registered voters. So you need 5% of that.
It changes, so we can't give you that exact
Okay,
number.
so I would get that direct number from Nedra.
Correct. And the petition. She could give you the petition.
Oh, good. Oh, great. Good.
And then, just so we know when we're getting signatures, our goal is to have it be a ballot item in March.
That's that's the purpose of
vote
it.
on.
That's the purpose of the petition, is to say we want the voters to decide on this.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And I also should probably say for the record, I looked at what the price of that land is out on the current reappraisal, and somebody can look it up themselves, but I think it was like $129,000 is what the price is. So the 124 was 7 years ago, or whatever. I think 2022 is when the purchase sales agreement started, I believe. They appreciated 5% over.
Okay, is there any more discussion on this issue? From the board? Then I'm going to call the question. All in favor of the motion to notify of the intent to convey property, say aye.
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 I recuse myself.
So we have 4 ayes and a recusal, is that correct?
Yes.
Motion passes. Oh, informational meeting prior to the town meeting day. Now, last year we did it on, I think it was the 17th. Is that correct? 17th of December, which was the Monday in between the 2 select board meetings, with the intent of giving people the opportunity to see the recording on either Zoom or PEG TV. And I guess the question is, do we want to do the same thing again this year or not? So I would like to hear the board's opinion on this. Mike, can you change the angle on the board or on the camera again, please?
Oh, sorry. Yep, I can do that.
I am in favor of having it early so that people that can't attend would have time to watch it and then get to us with any questions they may have.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so last year we did this on, I'm bringing up my calendar. Hang on a second. Last year, I think it was on President's Day as well, was it not? And this year, if we did it on the 16th, which is the Monday between the 9th and the 23rd, it would be on President's Day. I don't know if that's an issue for anybody, but I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. The other option would be to have it on March 2nd, which is the Monday before the election, on Tuesday, the 3rd, which is only 24 hours, which was historically what was done in the past and up to, but not including last year.
I believe the room's not available on the 2nd.
Correct. So the week prior was, and Christine is dealing with Lori on the exact dates, but we want to know, does the select board want to do it that way? And if the answer is yes, then we can see what the available dates are and come back to you with, this is the date, so we can announce it. And if the university is not available, because they said this campus center, because the auditoriums are out, the other option is to hold it at the rec center and go that route, and reach out to PEG TV to make sure they can be there on that date. And the rest of it is just going to be mostly a Zoom recording. We don't have a microphone to pass around, so they'd have to come to a podium to speak. Whereas in the past they've been able to sit in their seats in the auditorium. But if it fails at the university, then we could choose to hold it at the rec center.
The acoustics are very poor in that gymnasium. I think it would be really hard to record it. So if there's any way we could do it at the university, that would be, I think get a good recording to the largest number of potential voters.
It was good feedback last year, except for one that I got chewed on me for a while about not doing it as we normally have always done, because they're on vacation that week. But overall, it was like, at least people could choose to watch it, choose to be informed, and know what they're voting on. And especially some of these extra ballot articles that were on there.
I think, like you said, it gives them time as well, if they're confused about it, to come and spend more time digging into it.
Yeah, they can call you and ask you questions.
So we're shooting for February 16th, because you did say December.
Well, that was only my suggestion. That's what we did last year, is we did it the Monday between the 2 select board meetings. Now, that is President's Day. That is February 16th, and I'm not married to that date. I just thought I would throw that out there. So I guess the first part of this step is to find out what's available at the university, and then we go from there.
And we have to make sure it meets the timeframes before town meeting. There are some criteria on timelines. You can't hold it before or after. You can hold it right up to the night prior, but then
not too much earlier.
Yeah.
I think it was 15 days, Mike, but don't hold me to that.
Yeah, Nedra was.
I don't recall, actually. Nedra helped us out last year to make sure that we met the criteria that was required.
Yep.
And I'm sure she's more than willing to help us figure it out before she is no longer our town clerk.
Correct. Yeah, we've been talking about it. So it's as soon as she's back to work, we can have that conversation and we'll get the dates, the time frame, and get with the university to see what's available, and then come back to you with some dates options.
Does it have to be on a Monday?
Any day you want.
No, no, like I said, I wasn't really, I'm not emotionally attached to that date. I just threw that out there because that's what we did last year. That's all.
I was just thinking that maybe another day we could get the college with less problems. Let's leave that up to Mike to figure out with the college and come back and say, we can have it this day, or this day.
Exactly.
Well, today is November 24th, so we could have the dates, the option for dates and come up with a firm decision on the 8th of December, our next select board meeting, and still be, plenty. I think you have to notify it 30 days before the meeting, and it has to be within 15 days of town meeting or something along those lines. So, we have plenty of time to notify the public when the meeting is. So we could make that decision on the 8th if we're agreed with the principle or the idea, the concept, and then once we know what the dates are available, we could firm something up on the 8th of December, if that makes sense to everyone else.
Does to me.
We're
Get it
gonna,
advertised early.
we're gonna direct Mike to give us the dates. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's find out what our options are, and then on the 8th, we'll make a decision. How's that for a plan?
That's good. For me.
Okay. Any more discussion on this issue before we move on? Town website changes, Mike. I read your memo.
All right.
Sounds like we're kind of don't have much choice short term, so it is what it is, right?
Absolutely correct. So I did sign the agreement for the 1 year that's keeps us alive and being supported by Civic Plus, and that was $1,726.29. It now becomes next year, beginning 10/1/26, that they're saying it's going to the price will increase to $4,275.63, and it's also on the second year subject to a 5% annual uplift charge. It says in year 2, but the contract, I'm not sold on Civic Plus as it is. It's been not the greatest. We'll see what this new platform is when they migrate us over to it. But Christine, I spoke to Christine, and she's reaching out to West Rutland, Killington, Brandon, Hartford, Vermont. They all have different vendors and see what they like. There's a local one in Rutland, and people are starting to use them. So it might be something that it's more local company, easier to get here if we have problems. But it always comes down to customer service after the sales. Like, what do we make sure we can call? We're not going to get charged to, call and ask questions, or for them to log in and work on it for us. So those are all the
Add-ons.
Yeah. And the add-ons end up being more in the long run. Mm-hmm. So, but that's where we're at right now. So it bought us a little bit of time till, we have to make a decision to because we can't wait till 1 October to switch over. So we're gonna have to do something probably in the early part of the spring, April, May timeframe, to make sure we're on somebody's schedule to switch over, because it's not that long of a process. I talked to the guy. So it's not like it's going to take 30 days, but I always know that anytime you have a migration or something new, the bugs don't get worked out for a little while, but the website would be up and running. Like, the things will be done behind the scene, but you'll still see the public facing page would still be the same, but on the back side of it, we might be struggling to, figure out our way through it. But that's
at this point, you're just letting us know, and then you're going to figure out what our options are, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. And if there's any input, last time I had input from the staff, It's kind of hard to get input from the public on this, but we could try, if somebody wanted, we got some time to work on it, like what people want to see on the website. I just don't know how effective that's going to be or how much, I want it to be productive, not somebody just griping. But if the select board has something they would like to see as a functionality or how it looks, because you guys don't really see the backside of it, but on the public facing side, if you have to do 17 clicks to get the one thing, that's people don't like that.
It's very cumbersome.
Yeah. So, so if you have any recommendations or suggestions, please let me know. And especially if you find another website that you like and say, I like that one. And then we can do a little more exploration. That's what we did with Shelburne. They had a nice website like 3 years ago. And we modeled some of their stuff. And I went and looked at it again recently and they've changed it again. So it obviously wasn't that great.
Well, I do know we're way ahead of where we were a few years ago.
Yeah.
The website we had a few years ago was pretty cumbersome.
Yeah, the backside of it still is. Now, with drop and drag, and most people are used to that now, to drag it with your mouse and put it somewhere else. In the system we use right now, to add a new, like an agenda item, it's a lot of mechanics to get just an item saying there's a select board agenda and a meeting on Monday. It's like 25 to 30 steps to put that out there.
No, that's time, extra time, which costs money, so.
Yeah, that's time somebody's not doing something else that you might rather they be doing, right?
Yeah, and it's just a frustration because sometimes it doesn't work. Especially if it's something new you're doing and you got to call them and have you walk them, and they're not really good with customer service.
Okay, so I guess our homework is to go out and look at some other towns' websites and see what feels good to us and then give you some feedback on that, right?
That would be perfect.
Okay. Then those of us who are comfortable looking at other websites, we should do that and then provide feedback to Mike, okay?
Does the state have a preferred vendor they use, for VLCT or the university system or anything like that?
I don't know. I can look into that. There is a Gov one. I was talking to Christine about it, and there is a government platform. It's so everything will be a .gov rather than a .org. But I'll look into it.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the budget discussion.
Everybody's favorite. So I provided 2 copies of the updated budget as of the 19th. One says with highway and fire appropriations, and one says without. So there were some changes made from the last one I gave you outside of the fire and highway. So that's reflected in here. You asked me those $75,000 a year appropriations for the paving, not fire. It's 2 things. It's highway vehicles, fire vehicles, and paving. 3 things actually. So I messed that up, but they're in there. So if you notice the one that says with, that would raise the budget amount to $4,796,760, which is $381,077 greater than last year, or a 8.6% increase. And the reason I put those lines on there, and that I'm on page 15. I'm sorry, page 15.
In the green. You're in the
green. The green band.
Good. What's the arrow? What's the yellow arrow for, Mike?
It shows the percent increase this year versus what the percent increase was in, not the current fiscal year, but the one for 24-25.
Okay.
Yeah, that budget 2 years ago was the one where we significantly increased reserve accounts and included it in the budget. That's why that was a 14.4% increase. Is that accurate, Mike? It seems like I remember we made that decision then.
It is. There was a healthcare spike there too, but most of it was the reserve accounts and funding, paving and that kind of stuff.
And then last year, we wanted to continue on with our plan of getting the reserve account allocations where they belong, but we decided to have those as separate ballot items.
Correct.
So last year, the budget actually increased more than 4.7%, more like somewhere around 10, wasn't it, Mike? If you included those three items.
Yeah, I think, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was over 10.
And then, so now we're deciding whether or not we want to include that in the actual budget presented to the voters or have it as separate ballot items. So, I'm still on the fence on this one, so I'll take input from the rest of the board right now.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just as a point of comparison, in the other document that says without on page number 16, the green band on that one, what was I present to you without that stuff in the included in the budget, it's a 4.0% increase or $177,077. There's a poker card. What's that? Word of a kind. So that's on page 16 of the one. I got it. Yeah.
And that's what our best guess is going to be for increases based on 3% COLA, and we don't know what COLA is going to be yet, right? Does that sound right?
Correct. It's based on 75% of 3.2, which is 2.4%. And it was a rounding thing. I rounded it to 2.5. And we won't know that till the middle of December. But all the other stuff, I met with the library, I sat down with Nancy Mark, we went through their budget. The only thing I haven't done, and that's why this is a draft, is I've got Penny, our counting assistant or clerk, and our accountant verifying all the numbers for the utilities and what we pay for Zoom and HeyGov and all that stuff to make sure those numbers are correct in here. So we're still working on that. This was really primarily focused on wages and benefits. And there was some other things in the highway department and the police department that we massaged around a little bit. And I think I shared with you last month or last meeting that we reduced the overtime for the police department from 75 hours a person to 60, which is still that still can be approached again. Just wanted to give them a shot at doing that analysis on bringing that another officer on, how that's going to impact their overtime. But just the other day, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just thinking, I think that the number that you presented here, this budget as presented, is pretty close to what's actually going to be reality, isn't it, at this point?
Yeah, I think so. Unless inflation just does a crazy thing in the next couple months or next month. But I think other than that, the only other thing that I asked the police department to do was give me not the COLA, but their step raises for next year, because I didn't have that. So that could impact the police budget a little bit. Won't be a great number, but it's going to be more.
Yeah, it's not going to be significant. It's not going to be horribly huge. Yeah. It's like 1% of payroll, right?
Yeah. But it's still going to impact it. So, I mean, the wages part is not going to change till after I get that and I get the COLA.
Right.
So 75%.
So I would welcome input from my four compatriots here. What are your feelings on all this?
I like the way it was presented last year. I think, we presented the taxpayers with what I'm going to call the bare bones necessary budget. And then we gave them the option to add to the paving and equipment funds. I think. Pardon me?
Well, go ahead, Mark. I didn't know if you were done or not. I'm sorry if I interrupted.
People are they're sensitive to expenses right now. I don't care what you read on the news. At the end of the week, I don't think everybody's going, wow, I got a lot of money left. And I would hate to see the budget get defeated with a 10% increase. I would feel confident that as confident as you could that with a 4% increase, that would pass. And I would hope that people would see the value in putting money into the fire, highway, and paving funds to make sure that we can maintain the town's infrastructure and not get into a position where everything wore out at once. But if people were really feeling that they didn't have an appetite for that increase, I'd rather lose out on those funds and still have the town budget pass. That's would be a lot of work to try and go, what do we do now?
You know, the budget. Yeah, we're not doing that.
And then we have to go back and have another election. That's a lot.
Which is more expense too, Mark. So you're right. Your point there is well taken.
And I think last year it was well explained. I think the voters understood exactly what the situation was, and they responded in a very positive way.
I would agree with that as well.
I think it provided more clarity and that people felt good about it.
I agree with Mark. I would say that we keep them separated. I think that those funds are important and those funds are needed by the town to move forward in a responsible manner. But I think that if people are really feeling that much of a pinch with property taxes and just the cost of everything going up, you know, without it is about as cheap as we can get. Those would be the only add-ons that we could really cut and make it through next year with. So,
and I think it was easier to justify them as separate items, you know, so people really understood it and said, yeah, we don't want to spend more, but we don't want to go backward.
Yeah.
I think you're right. So any other input from the board? Mary Lee or Bob, do you have anything to add?
Yes, please. It's just a statement. I agree that it should be separate items, but we also have to realize that if it all passes, it's going to be that plus whatever else, the community center, the cares, the blah, 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 is still going to bring it up probably another 4%, 5%.
But there's nothing we can do about those.
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
as a total, this isn't right. I mean, it's the best we can do, but it isn't right.
Yeah, how do you correct it, make it right?
Well, you hope that people come to the informational meeting and pay attention because it is explained very carefully. You know, in a perfect world, that auditorium would be packed and we'd be able to explain all this. And if people didn't understand it, they could ask about it.
this is what's under our control.
That's right.
The other stuff is not under our control.
That's right.
No,
So-
I realize that. I'm just saying that.
Well, what you
should do it this way. Because I think it's got a lot better chance of going through.
This is what we need. This is what would help the community proceed in a better way.
Right.
Can I add something to Mary Lee's comment? Because her point is well taken, but there is a document that exists that will help you get that historical data. What would, and that's the line on the tax rate calculation sheet, which is also public knowledge and provided to us every year when we set the tax rate. And that's the amount raised by taxes. And that's a accumulation of this budget and any extra ballot articles that were passed at town meeting day, which includes all those extra items for Brock and the community center and council on aging, etc. So that amount raised by taxes is what is actually is what we set our tax rate on. So that includes the budget and any extra articles we deem necessary, plus those articles that are raised that are on the ballot by petition. So that historical data is there, but we need to educate the public on where to look for that.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if the select board had the desire, I would be willing to set up a Zoom recording and like interview select board members about the separate ballot items on the ballot and get it out there way ahead of time. So people, because all this is gonna be a link, put a link out there. They're your constituents, not mine. So they're just my fellow taxpayers. But I'd be willing to facilitate that if someone had a burning desire to sit down and have that conversation and put it out there. So it's just a thought for those that don't watch the town meeting or don't can't make it that night or don't know where to find it or whatever. We could publicize it more. But, I mean, it's just a method, and we don't have to do it. I'm not twisting your arm, but I could facilitate it. And
That's not necessarily a bad idea. In particular, the one for the highway paving. I think the public really needs to know where that's at because the $477,000 we spent on paving this year only did what 2 miles? I forget now what the number was, Mike. But it wasn't 3, was it?
no, we did it this year. We were able to do it because we saved 2 years worth of money. We paid $477,000, I think it was, to do East Southerner Road.
And we got some grant money that helped last year, right?
For Blissville.
Yeah.
So what I did is I created a paper explaining all of this. I even did an actual paper with an abstract, which probably most people don't want to read, but it talked about all of the costs, what it takes, what is the shim and overlay, and that what that costs versus the mill and fill. And I mean, it's a read. It's not that, I mean, it's not real long, but if you want to educate someone and they're like, oh, okay, now I get that our budget, $239,000 a year, paves about 1.34 miles.
Right, most people would think you're almost $500,000 that you pay half the town for that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even barely do Main Street.
Yeah.
Get to Castleton, maybe.
I mean, I'm digressing. I'll shut up now because I have a plan for paving but we still need the money. My plan doesn't get impacted by not having money. It's just how to get a better bang for our buck kind of thing. But yeah, I have that. It's all done. I still want to be late for the meeting tonight. I wanted to send it to you by email and say, take a look at it. And if it's something that you agree with, then I can publicize it. And
I think it's
okay. Yeah. Look. So at this point, do we have anything, Bob, you have anything to add?
I just wanted to add real quick on the paving. I think it's really important you tell us, the taxpayers out there, that we need to do, is it 3 miles?
3 miles.
That information really hit home with me.
Yeah.
So they just make sure that they understand that if we don't do 3 miles every year, we're going to fall extremely behind.
We are falling behind. That's the problem.
Well, they need to hear that though.
Okay.
I'm done, Dick.
No, that's the problem.
Okay. So I think.
I don't know what you guys are. I'll stop talking. The temperature just dropped in here.
It's cold. I'm freezing up there.
Okay, Mike, we'll talk about that during manager's report. So I think the consensus of the board is to keep the budget as presented, the new without budget, as opposed to the new with budget. And then we'll have the 3 separate ballot articles in addition to that. And we'll come up with the numbers we deem appropriate for those 3 articles based on Mike's recommendations. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I believe so. Yeah.
I have this
All
spreadsheet.
right.
Share that.
So is there any more discussion on this issue at this point in time? And we'll go to the town report deadlines. What actions do you need us to take, Mike, on that? I know your staff has been made aware of what their deadlines are for their reports. And you need a select board report as well, right?
Yeah, the deadline for the first rough draft was today. Obviously that didn't happen. So, but yeah, just the majority of what I need to pass on to the select board is that the rough draft is due amongst yourselves, really. So maybe at the next meeting, there could be a rough draft, and I can provide any information that you need or want.
I'll try to come up with one by the next meeting. And then I can present it to my compatriots and they can give me their feedback on it.
Yeah, as I told the other departments and commissions and committees, I said, take the time to look back at what you accomplished and how it impacts and benefits the taxpayers, and take credit for that stuff that was done. It's always what's happening is the last couple of years they've cut and paste and they just change a number. I'm like, no. We owe it to the taxpayers to be a little more diligent, do a little more due diligence in that. So
yeah, you can only get so many years off of cut and paste.
Yeah.
And people do read that. They wanna know, everybody's spending a lot of money on property tax. They need to know that they receive some value.
Who's responsible for, write-up on Joe Mark and I forgot. The other person.
Marion.
Yeah,
One of them, the male, Joe Mark, Tom Hughes is doing that one. And then Mary Ann, we haven't got that far yet.
Joanne Riley.
Joanne.
Yeah.
Joanne Riley.
Who knows most about her, and I'm not sure if Lori can do it, or Lori Canauer maybe.
I think that would be a good.
you might wanna talk to Tony Lobdell, cause she's the president over there. At the community center.
Yeah, it could be a nice collaborative effort from the folks there.
I would talk to both Tony and Glory and then go from there.
Yeah, I know that they'll probably love to write up something on all the good work that Joanne had done over the years. So I don't think I'll have a difficulty finding someone to do the write up.
I don't think so either.
But I'll go down and talk to them Friday. I'm not sure if they'll be open Friday. Maybe they will be.
Has this been issued as a public statement?
No, that's why it's been that's why I was saying the mail. And
We may have given part of this away to one of the folks that is attending this meeting remotely.
Oh, yeah.
So we would ask that she keeps this a secret.
Is her name is it?
With an N.
Does it sound like Nancy Mark?
Her name is Mrs. Mark. Yes. Are you listening to us?
Joe is.
Hold
on. I am.
Is your husband listening as well?
I just told him he could.
He's sitting right here.
Oh, boo. All right. Well, yeah. So sorry for the wet blanket surprise.
Well, the element of surprise was lost.
Yeah.
But the sincere appreciation remains the same.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? What are they saying? What are you saying?
What are we saying?
We're saying that Joe gets an attaboy.
Silence.
Never mind.
Okay.
Forget it.
More
Forget
will be revealed at the appropriate time.
Forget it.
We're going to move on to manager's report. Mike, you're up.
Manager's report, Mike. That's what he just said.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I made copies tonight. I didn't get to it till today. I'll give you the highlights.
Yeah, I don't have a copy, Mike, so throw it in my mailbox if you would, please.
All right. Well, right now when the staff comes in the morning, the copier's jammed right now. So I only got three copies came out, and the rest of them are jammed in the. Big items is I think that everyone will be happy that the Chevy 6500 is here. It's in our possession.
Is it done?
It's done. You can go up to the garage. Bob saw it.
I saw it.
You can go up to the garage and look at it. It's shiny and new. It needs to be undercoated now. And the plows, everything's all, it's all functional.
I don't really care what it looks like, but I might just go up and look at it because we've been talking about it for so long here now.
Pink elephant.
Reaching the age where we're going to have to start thinking about replacing it.
Rob, it looks like a truck, just so you know.
So that's good news. Bad news is the trackless, the PTO. We couldn't get anybody locally to work on it. So when they went to pick up the 6500, they dragged the trackless down to Albany to a trackless dealer. And I told them to have them go through it and find everything that possibly could be wrong with this thing and give us that write up so we can decide what we want to pursue.
That's the unit they use for the sidewalks.
Yeah. So it's in Albany now.
And that was a used purchase years ago, right?
Yeah, it was.
And that machine is superior to the Bobcat in what way?
Faster, more attachments. So we got like 12 attachments for that thing. So anything from mowers to snow throwers to augers. So had a lot of attachments. We bought it from Middlebury. It was turned into Champlain, I think, equipment from Middlebury College. So it's what it used to take us forever to go from one end of the town to the other with that old Bobcat. And the guys that are running this now, it holds more material, it zips along, you can actually drive it from point A to point B and not have.
You don't have to send somebody with a trailer down to the other end of town to pick it up and truck it back up here like you did with the Bobcat.
And put sand in, they had to keep loading the sand in it. It's proven a worthy opponent for our snow and our sidewalks. I don't know what the PTO is going to cost. They said it's trying to engage, you can hear it click, but nobody else wanted to touch it around here. So it's going down there. They're not going to do any work till we get a quote. So I'll let you know what that turns out to be. Highway foreman completed the bid packet for South Street Trestle, which is going to get posted this week. So we got till Wednesday to get it posted. But he had contractors there. Everything's ready to go and go out to bid. So hopefully somebody bids on it. And that could be April of 2019 during tropical storm. I don't know. No, it wasn't tropical. It was just a freak storm that came through, and it washed out that culvert, and not the culvert, but the banks and the guardrails and everything else. So hopefully we got the pieces. We get this big ass culvert sitting up in the pit. I'd like to be able to use it for something besides the kids playing in.
Nothing like the speed of town, huh?
Well, it was FEMA for a while. It was FEMA money, and it took them 2 years to get that sorted out. So, I talked with Heath about the transfer station scale. They still haven't been out to Camara's to verify the measurements to make sure that if that machine was in working order.
You mean the compactor?
Did I say scales?
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. I meant the compactor. That it can be an organ donor for ours, or if it's really good and better shape than ours and working, then it could be replaced. And I don't think Camara's want to. What I'm gathering from Heath is that Camara's aren't going to want to put this all back together and get it running. It's been sitting there. It's like, if you want it, we'll give it to you for a good deal. But so I looked at it and said, if the RAM and everything can fit in the one up here, which we have rotting issues up here, it'd be perfect if the price was right. And so I asked Evan what his thoughts were on just rehabilitating ours. And I said, is there enough metal there that you can do this without rebuilding the whole damn thing? And he thinks that he can. So we're just following 2 avenues right now to see where it goes, and we'll follow up with you when we get more information. The scales, I spoke with Nate Farnham this morning, and if we get this rebuilt, a new skin put on, a new superstructure built, I asked him if it would mess up the sensors that register what the weight is, and he said no. But he did recommend that we look at an option of upgrading what we have in the scale house, because we are using really archaic technology. And he said there's a system now that would feed right into the computer, and so I have to do this manual printing of the stuff, and you can't read it, and the paper copies would be right in the computer, and it would at the end of the day, it would roll up all the day's transactions, and it would just be a link to our town office. So Megan just goes on there and doesn't have to dig through paper and all this other stuff. So he said,
You don't know a price on this yet?
He just said to me, if you want a demo, like you said, a demo. So I said, I'll send you some dates when Heath's available and Christine's available, and we'll look at what it is and get some prices and go from there. But right now we can rehabilitate the scale with metal and stuff, and not screw up the sensors and for the scale house. So, but it's not going to be cheap. The guy that one of the guys said he can do it in pieces parts, so that when on our open days it'd be fully functional, and he'd work on it on the non-open days. Whereas the other contractor said they just want to do it all at once, and we have to shut down the scale for a few days. So more to follow on that, just a little update. I talked to, I sent an email today to Rutland County Solid Waste District, because we're not getting calls back on, we have those UV light bulbs that are down at the wastewater facility that are just sitting on the ground. Like, they got to get off the ground. They're the old bulbs. And so they said we can get a box from them, pack them up so they won't break during shipping. And so Russ said, oh, I didn't know that. So we got rid of the old paint though at Sherwin-Williams. They took it.
Yeah. Are they the 4-footers?
Yeah, they're 4 feet.
I think Gilmore's used to do a recycling program for them as well, where they give you a box to recycle.
Okay, I'll check on it.
I know it's been a few years since I did it, but I know I sent a lot back through there.
Yeah. They're not the normal fluorescent tubes. These are ultraviolet tubes, and they're double walled. But anyway, I just want to get them gone. They're sitting on the ground out there, and they've been there for 2 years. About 6,500. And so now I'm at, you don't have a copy of it, the rec center. So Paul McClure came in, and we need to do a few upgrades to the thermostats in there to get them to 110 volt thermostats rather than the ones that are there, because the actuators that are up in the those things, those above your head, the heat exchangers, the air actuators are bad, and he's having a hard time finding them because they're so old. He said if you put a 110 thermostat in, you can set it for the temperature you want, and it'll kick on, and it'll turn the blower motor on, blow it through the radiator to get the heat. When it kicks off, the water will still be running through the system, but the blower won't be on. But he said if I change the actuators, even if I got them, which he recommends we go to 24 volt actuators, because I have to drain the system. So we can't really afford to do that right now. But so it's only a couple thermostats. We ordered 5 to have on hand for the ones that are here, because I don't think we can probably afford to change all of them, because it's going to be expensive. But if this gets rented, we can't have no heat in here. We don't want people, using rooms that have the fire district. Theirs is the same problem. So now it's running constantly. It's probably hot enough to breathe sheep in that room right now. That's because there's no thermostat control. Just say it's already on. They're going to come in here, and they were cold last time. Come in here now, they're going to be in their skivvies.
So you say, so we fixed it for you. How do you like that?
Go Net Speed. They're still at Crystal Beach. So I saw them up there. I stopped in it because they put the new section of fence in at the beach. So 1 foot of that fence is buried underground, because they said 5-foot fence. And I'm like, it's supposed to be 4. So they dug a foot trench and put it's galvanized, but they put it in the ground. But the Go Net Speed was there. I stopped and talked to the guys. I'm like, hey, how come your stuff's still here? And they're like, well, there's still some customers that we're trying to force over onto fiber, and they're holdouts. And he said, so all their service still comes through that building.
So are they paying us?
No, they stopped paying us. So I reached out to Merrill, our attorney, was dealing with their attorney, and said they owe us for now 2 more months. And so she's okay, and so she's gonna work it out. But their stuff's still there, the building, the generator, and the propane. So, but that's why it's not out of that. I finally found out why they're not out of there. We'll get some pound of flesh out of it somehow. Wi-Fi, still an issue at the fire station. Still working through it. Electrical work at the salt shed. So I went up there last week, stopped by 2 weeks ago, and the workers were there, and I stopped in and said, hey, how's it going? What are you guys doing? And they're like, well, this is a hot mess. And basically they complained that they didn't really know what was going on, and it's been a cluster. And did you notice that they put the power, the panel box on the long wall, not the gable end. So now they have to build a little roof over it so the snow load doesn't come down on it. And I said, why did you do that? Because it was paved. So the paving happened before they put the electrical. It was supposed to happen the other way around, but due to timing, so they didn't want to cut through the pavement. So they went around the side and they hammered through that wall. And they were complaining because they couldn't get through it. Myron White happened to be there.
Oh, yeah, you're telling me.
And he's like, there's rebar in there, and they're hitting the rebar. And anyway, so that they put the panel box on the side, but they still had the lights up, no wires run, and salt's delivered Wednesday of this week. So Jeff was up there, called the owner, and said, this is unacceptable. This was supposed to be done by now. And they were meeting him on Monday. Today, Jeff was meeting him. The owner was going to be there and said, I'll take care of this. And so he knows that the salt's being delivered on Wednesday. So they got to get the stuff in there because they're not going to get the lift in there with a pile of salt in there.
No, they're going to be standing on the pile of salt to do it.
And we rented a lift from Wanger Railing, and we had it for the week and they didn't show up. So we had to pay Wanger for a week's worth of rental. And Jeff told the owner, he said, you guys owe us that. So little delays. The compressor here at the fire station, Kerry Fowler has the parts for that, and he just needs to schedule. I talked to Heath today. He hasn't scheduled the time with him, but to get that thing fully working again. I reached out to Foster Sergeant's Appraisals in Rutland and left him a message. I haven't heard back from him yet about doing appraisal on those 3 parcels up on Crystal Heights. And ignoring your questions, that's it. I'll put it on everybody. The printer.
Questions for the town manager? Anybody?
What do we do with these?
You give one of them away, I guess. I'll get more.
I'll get it next time.
Or I'll email it to you.
I got the gist of
You
it.
want one on the road? Okay.
All right.
Then purchase orders for approval.
You need the copy of that? There you go.
Rob needs the red the red folder.
I got it. You want the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, make a motion to approve purchase order number 054592. 054592, yep, to McClure Construction for $3,363.33. That's for the heat pump installation at the transfer station.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve purchase order number 054810 to the Rutland Region Planning Commission for the sum of $2,369.88, and that's for the Village Pedestrian Improvements Project.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And make a motion to approve purchase order number 054813 to Advanced Pavement for the sum of $5,037.50, and that's for line striping, crack sealing, crosswalks in the Village College area. Crack filling.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mike, is your staff happy?
Not yet. We're checking on this crack sealing. I don't know if they did all of it.
So are you comfortable with us paying this bill?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You did say yes, right, Mike? Didn't I hear that?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Okay,
Said if they're not happy, he's gonna do it himself.
fair enough.
We use a fish, something I found at Tom's Bait Shop 4 years ago.
I'll make a motion to approve purchase order number 054829 to the Castleton Fire Department for the sum of $12,000, and that's for points money for the fiscal year 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have a question on the first one. Who seconded that?
I did.
Mary Lee
Mary Lee Harris did.
Thank you.
We ready for warrants?
I'm ready for warrants.
Make a motion to approve warrant number 1113 for the sum of $53,932.67. Warrant number 1124 for the sum of $101,927.14. Warrant number 1113P for the sum of $20,922.51. And warrant number 1120P for the sum of $21,015.29.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so Bob, will you initial and date those 4 purchase orders, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I got invited to for Thanksgiving, so I know I can bring 5. That's not one of them. He said, no, you don't.
I'm going to those.
Oh, yeah. My wife's decorating for the way out, so.
Maybe the Christmas tree up, that's big. Yeah. Right up that big one.
Yep. Rob's on them. I was gonna go get one, and I said, I better ask her first.
On the tree?
Yeah, she's been fighting me on real trees for like the last 5 years.
How do we do one? Real tree or nothing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing, Mary Lee?
Come on.
Yeah, I
You
would.
could say bah hump.
She said, well,
I agree with her. I wouldn't have one in my house either. If it wasn't for my
What's the
wife.
matter with you
If it
guys?
wasn't for my wife and daughter.
I just put up mine. It's this big.
Boy, Rob's got those balsam trees, they sell on sales. Yeah.
no, I was there today and I was like, really want one, but I just know I cause a war. My wife, she's a fanatic about how it looks and
It's gotta be perfect.
oh yeah, I'm just like it ruins the front of it. Like, you know, I love that time I was with my kids and they just got to throw things on there. Wife would come out afterwards.
I grew trees for years. We used to always take the scraggliest one ourselves. I'd bring it in the house, drill holes in it, stick some more branches in it. By the time we were done,
It looked good.
My dad always did that too, when you needed it. You just build it and put it in.
yep.
At my house.
At your house. You had one in Rutland when I lived in this long time ago. And
Right, right.
Christmas come and go, New Year's went, came around, my wife and I were newly married. And we're looking at this thing and I'm like, it looks like a fire hazard. And we took it like that and and it was just bare branches and a pile of needles on the floor.
Yeah, they go fast when they're dry. The water leaves, but that sap stays right there.
Well, I had a tinder box.
But Bob has like.
Yep.
Dad, one more thing.
I know, so when I grabbed those, I'm like, oh, it wasn't big enough. That's why I wanted.
It's not big enough.
That's okay, that's okay.
Well,
I'll get it to you.
7:30.
Yep. I'll come right to your house. No, I gotta sign it.
I'll sign it.
Okay.
Well, you're the last one to sign it out. Thank you. Dick, Bob signing the, warrant right now.
Okay. So we can move on to select board comments. Mary Lee, what have you got?
I'll pass on this.
Mark?
Did everyone get Logan Solomon's letter about the Castleton flood hazard regulations?
Yes.
Yes.
So we have just a couple small corrections that we need to do. That seem pretty benign to me, but I think that we should get them done.
Is this part of the flood zone river corridor stuff, right?
Yeah.
Cause I know there's a person in town that if there's any changes to be made, would probably want to know this. And so I feel awful to not share that with them. So but I wanted to talk to you guys about, I saw the
We
email.
should have it on the agenda probably for the next meeting.
Yeah.
And we can do it, or the planning commission can do it. Did you read the letter?
I read the highlights of it. That's why I knew what it said, river corridor and stuff like
We
that.
just need to
It's pretty simple, like, in our regulations, the definition of a manufactured home does not exclude a recreation vehicle. So we need to change that. And the definition of a structure includes exceptions for sheds under 120 square feet, which is fine for our zoning. But to meet the state flood hazard laws, we have to change that. And the National Flood Insurance Program is contingent on us having this written correctly, so.
And that's what was the catalyst when Jonas was here to change that. And then I don't think it was, I think it was during COVID. And it just maybe didn't get disseminated as far as we normally do this. And, so then there's accusations saying, this was done in the middle of the night during hours of darkness. And, but if it's all it's changing, it's not changing the regs.
It doesn't change the regs.
There's really nothing to really complain about. I mean, for that person to say, I don't approve of it,
I agree, you should probably get a heads up on it though.
Yeah. Oh, I know I'll get a visit if I don't.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just like term changes in terms, but there's probably not even anybody in the town that has national flood insurance. But I think we should be in compliance.
Yeah. I mean, I always think Crampton Mobile Home Park, Chris Freda is building down there. The only ones that I've seen, and there's the place on Route 4A across from where Salt Shed was, that one that's right next to the river there, the house.
Yeah.
Sometimes the water does get pretty high right there, but most of the places other than that is really like where I've seen impact over the years.
Probably nobody here has flood insurance.
No.
Some people had to fight hard to not have to have
Yeah.
flood insurance in town.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's places in town, I think, that are required to have flood insurance.
Because they're in a floodplain.
That floodplain's map.
You wouldn't think that it would be even an issue. Like my parents I think that, I can't remember if my mom got out of it or not, but with her house, they were required to have flood insurance. She's like, the lake's gonna have to come up like 25 feet to be an issue, but
Fairhaven will be underwater before the house.
But flood insurance isn't cheap.
Anything else, Mark?
One sec.
So are we agreed that we're gonna discuss this at the next meeting and resolve it then? Is that what you want to put it on the agenda? Is that what we're saying?
I think it would probably be a good idea.
All right, then that's what we'll do. Is there any reason that won't meet the time frame criteria, Mark?
No, that's fine.
Okay, then that's what we'll do. So, Mr. Town Manager, you'll need to put that on the agenda.
Making a note now.
The only other concern that I have is that in the future, I don't think that we should I think that any agreements we have now, we should terminate. And in the future, I don't think that we should be using town employees and or equipment for any non-town business. Moving equipment for private entities. So we could avoid the kind of situation we had here tonight earlier.
I would agree with that.
I think it exposes us to a tremendous amount of liability to tow something like that up and down a public road.
And we actually built the road out in one spot so they could pull off. So it was more than just taking they paid for the stuff, but it's still our equipment, our employees, if they get hurt doing it.
That's what I mean. What happens if Evan got hurt or something when he was hauling it this fall? Now we're out a plow truck driver and out our town mechanic for something that didn't really benefit the town.
And it also puts us in a position we were in today when we had to make the bad choice, be the bad guys, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah. Yeah, just not the right situation for the town to be in.
We don't need that exposure. Bottom line. Anything else, Mark?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Rob?
I just was wondering, because I drove by the speed limit, the flashing speed limit signs there. And I have concerns that this winter that debris from the plow going by may cause an issue with them.
Which one?
I went by the one on Creek Road and it's close to the road and low.
Okay.
So I don't know if we wouldn't be better off taking and putting them away for the winter. Maybe it wouldn't be a problem, but they're expensive enough where I would hate to see a chunk of ice or slush keep getting bashed up against it as the plow's going by.
The one in
What other towns do, Mike? Do you know?
I know West Rutland keeps theirs up all year round, but they're not like, they're in a 30-mile-an-hour zone or 25-mile-an-hour zone, and they're high enough where it's probably not gonna hit it.
I haven't paid attention enough to the other ones in town. I just happened to drive by the one on Creek Road a lot, and it does seem feasible to me that debris could get that far out.
Yeah. The things come off the post, so we don't have to tear the post out of the ground. You just gotta take the thing, everything off
I
there.
mean, I'm not saying anybody has to, but I just take a look at it and see if I'm not the only one that thinks it could be an issue.
Will do.
That's all I have.
Bob, you got anything?
Can anybody on this board give me the date when we removed this rec building from the market? Do you know when we did that, Mike?
I'd have to look back in the minutes, Bob, sorry.
About October,
Of last year?
I think so.
So a year ago at this time?
Isn't that about right?
It's very, very close, September, October of last year.
I think we had that special meeting in September or August or September, and I think we took it off the market in November, but don't hold me to that.
Okay.
I think it was November or December we actually officially took it off the market.
Okay. Because at that time, I made an agreement, and I don't know if it was with a specific person or group, but I wanted to see the revenue versus the expenses, and I think maybe once from Mike, I got that, and I'm not gonna let that go.
So just so you're aware, the staff pulled together today for me, which I have with me, all the expenses.
Okay.
And we don't have the revenues, but I have the expenses, and we're looking at, this is all what we're gonna use to determine like our programs, are we at least covering our costs?
That's what I'm looking for.
And so I got the start of it today. They gave me the numbers, and I've got to get the revenues. And I have pickleball. I don't have all the rest of it. So
I don't even right now. The other thing is, in that same regards, is the groups out there said that they couldn't go after any grants when we still had out of the market. I want to know how many grants they've gone after and how many grants they've received. I just want those numbers. Just to be fair for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an appropriate question, Bob.
Thank you, Dick.
As I recall, that was one of their big sticking points was they couldn't apply for grants, and I don't know that they have. I don't know that they have not either.
Yeah, well, that's why I want to know. Yep.
Oh,
So I think your question is very appropriate.
Thank you.
Well, it would come through the town if it's federal or state kind of things, because they has to come through our pay system. So we would be part of that process, and nothing that I know of that happened. Now, if they apply for like a Walmart grant for $5,000, they could probably do that on their own as a nonprofit. But as far as like the federal grants and big things, usually you have to have a SAM's account, and it's a process.
Okay.
Anything else, Bob?
Oh, that's it.
Mike, do we want to talk about the lack of a treasurer this week, or has that been resolved?
Not resolved.
So as far as physically taking the items out of the safe and taking them to the bank and making the deposit, does that have to be the treasurer, or can any town employee do that? I know a treasurer has to sign checks and has to use the fob to access bank accounts. But I don't know if just to physically make the deposit, is that something you or your staff can do without us authorizing you?
That's what I'm led to believe, and I want to call the league tomorrow to make sure that we're good with that. I don't see an issue with it. That I could walk into the bank and put money in your account without I don't know if that get your permission.
You can do that now if you want.
Yeah, so, that's why I'm saying I want to make sure that you can, do what you need to do. And if we have to take action tonight to authorize you to do that, I'm more than happy to. I just want to make sure that, you can keep things flowing, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because so the rest of the board knows we have, the treasurer is out for a medical issue, and the assistant treasurer, alternate treasurer is ill. So we have no treasurer this week.
So and we have substantial reasons to want to put stuff into the bank. And so if the board made a motion for me to do it, it was a moot point if I can do it without it, but at least that would be on the record. So we can get that money into the bank. The other issue was, we talked about is without the fob and the access to the bank account, I can't do anything about it. So it's likely that if the assistant treasurer is not back to work by Wednesday, that it would be wait until Monday of next week to get the rest of the stuff taken care of. Which what's the downside of it? It's where people complain about their checks took so long because there's a 30-day period there, and so somebody's checks might not clear in a timely manner. We got past that. We started on Megan really got on top of that, and we haven't had that lag anymore.
Good.
We're talking maybe 2 weeks at the most. So it's been good that way, but we might have a little relapse, and it comes to the issue of if our assistant treasurer, which is Nedra, isn't back. And then the board has to appoint or may appoint an assistant or interim treasurer because Nedra's last day is the 19th of December. And we've got the warning and town meeting and voting, getting everything ready for the elections. And she's not going to be there. So we're going to put the ad out and across all of our means that we can get out there. But I asked Nedra last week if she had a lead on anybody, and she's like, no. So
It's like, I'm not going to recommend anybody for this job. That would just be terrible.
But yeah, so we'd go a period of time with an appointed treasurer, and then somebody would run for office. I got a visit today from the assistant and said, if the new treasurer will keep me, because the town clerk appoints their assistant. So she said, if they want me, I'll stay, which would give us some continuity.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, I thought she was gonna leave too.
She made that comment, but she said she had to think about it. And so she thought about it and came to me today and said, oh, if they'll have me, I'll stay.
But just to clarify that, I spoke to her today. That's why she came to see you.
Okay.
Nedra told her that she worked under Nedra, so if Nedra was leaving, she had to leave. That's what she was told.
Yeah, so I've said today I'm going to call the league and find out if you appoint somebody because of the situation, can the appointed town clerk then make a temporary appointment that would lead him to when the new treasurer or the new town clerk came in? So I've got a note on my desk to call him tomorrow.
So that's something that we can take care of at the next business or our next select board meeting, right?
Yeah, if I get a name.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as like if Joanne is willing to, at least work part-time, and we can appoint her as interim town clerk or town clerk assistant or something, we probably can legally do that, but I need you to verify that for us.
Yep, I will. Tomorrow I'll give him a call.
Do we need to make a motion, Dick, to allow Mike Jones to be our interim treasurer?
I don't know if interim treasurer is the right word, or just authorize him to make bank deposits. What do you think we need to do, Mike?
I would just ask to say authorize me to make the deposits until the treasurer's or the assistant treasurer's back.
I'll make that motion that we authorize the town manager to make deposits for the town and any other business that he can legally do on behalf of the treasurer.
Second.
Any more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, thank
Okay,
you.
Mike, so let us know what else you need. If you need me to, run an errand to get a fob or something for you, let me know and I'll do that.
All right, thank you. With your bad leg.
Well, I have to use my taxi driver, but we can get it done. I mean, she may not be happy with me volunteering her, but that's the way it is. I probably will be cleared to drive on Friday, but I don't know that yet.
Hey Dick, have you filled out my form yet?
No, we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, there's a question in the audience from Roy Newton.
Yes, Roy.
I assume from this conversation that Netta has resigned.
Yeah, we announced it last meeting. The 19th of December is her date.
Okay, any more select board comments? Action items, the only thing I know of that is unique to the select board is we've all got to do homework on the website. What else? Oh, that's sewer.
Town report.
Town report. I got to do the town report. That's it, I think. Anything else, guys?
Nope.
Okay, so do we need executive sessions?
I do. I'd like one for personnel.
All right, let's start with Rob's personnel. Go ahead, Rob. Would you do the honors, please?
I moved.
Wait a minute.
We can do it.
Roy got another question?
No, but I have to leave.
Oh, yeah, we haven't made a motion yet, but.
I move to find that premature general public knowledge regarding the personnel matter at hand will put the board at a substantial disadvantage because of the sensitive nature of the personnel situation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move that we enter into executive session to discuss the personnel matter under the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1A of the Vermont statutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are in executive session with the board and the town manager.
So 9:34, there you go.
Will I be here?
9:34.
Will I be hearing from you in the morning?
Sure. For that posting.
Make a motion, we come out of executive session at 10:01 with no action taken.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Mary Lee, second it.
Yeah. 10:01.
Moved and seconded, we adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.